Imagine waking up one morning and owning an empire stretching from the Pacific Ocean to the gates of Europe. An empire so vast that 1 out of every 4 people on Earth lived under your rule. Every caravan traveling the Silk Road paid taxes to you. Every conquered kingdom handed over mountains of gold, silver, silk, horses, and priceless treasures. Yet despite controlling unimaginable wealth, the most powerful man on Earth lived in a simple felt tent. This is the unbelievable story of Genghis Khan, the conqueror who built the largest contiguous empire in human history, and may have controlled more wealth than almost anyone who has ever lived. But here's the twist. He wasn't interested in living like a king. So where did all that wealth go? Let's find out. Before he became Genghis Khan, he was just a boy named Temujin. He was born around 1162 on the harsh Mongolian steppe, where survival depended on strength, loyalty, and luck. When Temujin was only 9 years old, his father was poisoned by rival tribes. Almost overnight, everything changed. His family was abandoned. They had no army, no food, no protection. To stay alive, they hunted wild animals, caught fish, and searched for roots in the frozen wilderness. Many children would have given up. Temujin didn't. Every hardship taught him one lesson. Power is never given. It is taken. As he grew older, he united small tribes that had hated each other for generations. Instead of judging people by family names, he rewarded loyalty and skill. It was a revolutionary idea that transformed scattered nomads into one unstoppable fighting force. In 1206, after years of brutal warfare, the tribes gathered and gave him a new title, Genghis Khan. It meant universal ruler. The world had no idea what was coming. What happened next changed history forever. One by one, powerful kingdoms fell before the Mongol armies. Northern China, Central Asia, Persia, parts of Eastern Europe. City after city surrendered or was destroyed. The Mongols became famous for incredible speed. Their horse archers could travel farther in a single day than many armies could in several. Fear spread faster than the army itself. Sometimes entire cities surrendered before a single battle began. Within just a few decades, Genghis Khan ruled the largest connected land empire ever created. His territory covered millions of square kilometers. But conquering land wasn't what made him truly powerful. It was what came after the victories. Every city, every kingdom, every trade route, and every merchant brought enormous wealth into the Mongol Empire. Gold, silver, silk, jewels, livestock, weapons, rare spices, tributes from rulers across Asia. The flow of riches became almost impossible to measure. And this was only the beginning. In the next chapter, we'll uncover exactly how Genghis Khan became one of the wealthiest rulers in history, and why historians still debate whether anyone has ever controlled more resources than he did.
The secret to Genghis Khan's enormous wealth wasn't simply conquering cities. It was what he did after the battles were over. Many rulers spent their fortunes building extravagant palaces, throwing lavish feasts, or decorating themselves with jewels. Genghis Khan took a different approach. He understood that a kingdom could be conquered once, but trade could make money forever. Instead of destroying every city, he protected merchants who agreed to trade under Mongol rule. Soon the famous Silk Road became safer than it had been in centuries. Merchants traveled thousands of kilometers carrying silk from China, spices from India, glass from the Middle East, silver from Persia, and precious goods from Europe. Every caravan crossing Mongol territory paid taxes and fees. Multiply that by thousands of merchants every year, and the empire generated an incredible flow of wealth. Gold poured into the treasury, silver coins filled government vaults, luxury goods arrived from every corner of Eurasia. But taxes were only one source of income. Every conquered kingdom had to pay tribute. Some sent wagon loads of gold, others delivered thousands of horses, camels, sheep, and cattle. Many provided skilled craftsmen, engineers, doctors, and scholars. For Genghis Khan, talented people were often more valuable than treasure. Instead of killing every expert he captured, he brought many of them into his empire. Chinese engineers built siege machines. Persian administrators managed taxes. Arab scholars shared scientific knowledge. Each conquest made the empire richer, not just in money, but in knowledge and technology. As the empire expanded, so did its economy. Trade flourished across continents, markets grew larger, roads became safer, Communication became faster through an impressive relay system of horse stations, allowing official messages to travel hundreds of kilometers in a single day. It was one of the most efficient communication networks the medieval world had ever seen. At its peak, the Mongol Empire stretched across much of Asia and into Europe. Millions of people lived under its rule. The resources under Genghis Khan's control were almost beyond imagination. But here's the surprising part. Unlike many rulers before or after him, Genghis Khan didn't keep most of the treasure for himself. He rewarded loyal generals. He distributed wealth among his soldiers. He invested in expanding and strengthening the empire instead of building lavish royal palaces. His lifestyle remained remarkably simple. He continued living in traditional Mongol tents. He wore practical clothing. His focus wasn't displaying wealth, it was controlling it. And that's the difference. Owning the world's greatest fortune wasn't about filling a personal vault. It was about controlling the land, the people, the trade routes, and the resources that generated unimaginable riches every single day. But just how rich was Genghis Khan compared to today's billionaires? Could his fortune surpass modern names like Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, or history's legendary kings? The answer might completely change the way you think about wealth. So, how rich was Genghis Khan? The truth is, no one knows the exact number. Unlike today's billionaires, he didn't own company shares or have a bank account. There was no stock market, no Forbes list, no way to calculate his fortune in dollars. But historians agree on one thing. His true wealth wasn't measured by what he personally owned. It was measured by what he controlled. At its height, the Mongol Empire covered nearly 24 million square kilometers. It connected east and west like never before. The empire controlled major sections of the Silk Road, the world's most important trade network. Countless merchants, kingdoms, and cities depended on routes protected by Mongol rule. Every shipment of silk, every caravan carrying spices, every wagon loaded with precious metals, generated taxes, tribute, or economic benefits for the empire. If someone today controlled that much land, trade, natural resources, and economic activity, their wealth would be almost impossible to calculate. Many modern billionaires own companies worth hundreds of billions of dollars. Genghis Khan controlled an empire whose economic power stretched across continents. That's why many historians argue that comparing him to today's richest people doesn't tell the whole story. He wasn't simply rich. He controlled one of the greatest concentrations of wealth and resources in human history. But perhaps the most fascinating part of his story isn't how much wealth he controlled. It's how little he cared about showing it. He didn't build massive golden palaces. He didn't surround himself with endless luxury. He continued living much like a Mongol leader of the steppes. His focus was expansion, discipline, and maintaining the empire. Even after his death in 1227, another mystery began. According to tradition, his burial place was kept completely secret. Legend says the soldiers who buried him hid every trace of the tomb. Some stories even claim that horses were ridden across the burial site to erase all evidence. To this day, no one has definitively found the final resting place of Genghis Khan. Imagine that, the man who controlled unimaginable wealth, one of the most powerful rulers in history, may still lie in an undiscovered grave somewhere in the vast Mongolian landscape. His treasure was never displayed for the world to admire. His greatest legacy wasn't piles of gold, it was the empire he built. An empire that reshaped global trade, connected civilizations, transformed warfare, and changed the course of history forever. Whether you see him as a brilliant military genius or one of history's most ruthless conquerors, one fact remains undeniable. Few people have ever possessed as much power. Few have ever controlled as many resources, and few have left a mark on the world as deep as Genghis Khan. His story reminds us that true power isn't always measured by the riches you spend. Sometimes it's measured by the world you have the power to change. If you enjoyed this journey into the life of one of history's most powerful rulers, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let us know in the comments. Which historical figure should we uncover next?